Most of the advice I've been seeing about pricing your crochet work tends to lead to extremely high prices for your work. And though I absolutely believe that our work is extremely valuable, I just want to talk about a different approach today and maybe a different method that can help you get into a crochet business and get you going without the fear of pricing yourself out of the market. Hi, I'm Lucy. I have been running my own business selling crochet. I also used to do sewing and jewellery making, but I've been self-employed for over 20 years, and now I am mostly focused on crochet. And I just wanted to do a little explanation on how I price my work to make a living and how it is not based around the usual formula you see of charging an hourly wage. So let's break down the traditional approach of pricing that you often see. So you're first told to calculate your materials, which is really important. You must make sure you cover your costs of the materials used, otherwise you will of course make no profit. So very important. And then you estimate your hourly wage based on how long it takes you to make an item. The problem with that is every crocheter crochets at a different speed. I personally am actually quite a slow crocheter, considering I've been doing it for 20 years. I have a slow, methodical method, so it does take me a little longer sometimes to make things than other people. And then you obviously have to add profit for other items, so your postage and all those other things that come into factor, taking photographs, marketing, selling fees, all those sorts of things. So the problem with this method is it usually leads to really high prices. If you're going to charge per hour and it takes you a long time to crochet something, then, and you're going to want a decent wage per hour, then each item is going to end up costing more than, unfortunately, our customers will be prepared to pay. So what do we do about it? Firstly, you need to ask yourself, how much do I actually need to make per month? A large salary is important when working a 9-to-5 job if you don't enjoy it, because you need the extra money to be able to afford the luxuries and the holidays and the things you need to get away from your everyday life. So if you spent all day working doing something you're truly passionate about and love, do you really need those extra holidays, that extra treat, those things to keep you going? Or is actually your day-to-day life satisfying enough and you can actually take yourself a little lower wage? Of course, if the answer is no and you want the high salary, then this kind of lifestyle may not be for you, and that's fine. But if you do think that you don't need to be making the biggest CEO wage out there and you just want to spend time doing something you love, then keep listening. I also want to add that there is an opportunity to diversify within this field. There are lots of things you can do within this field to make money, not just creating the physical item. I will get to that later on in the video, but there are ways of making a very healthy, happy income with your passion of crochet. Another question to ask yourself is, how much pleasure do I get from crochet? If you're the sort of person who will crochet an item and enjoy it thoroughly with zero thought of getting that item monetized, and you just really enjoy making it, then maybe this is a career for you. If you don't need to get hundreds or thousands of pounds for that item because you're going to be making it anyway, then why not sell it at a reasonable price, get what you need to keep you going, get more yarn and make something else? Next, you have to ask yourself, what is the alternative to doing this? What could I be doing instead to earn this kind of money? Me personally, because I have spent the last 20 years building my business, growing my crochet and crafting skills, I don't necessarily have a lot of skills for a real job. I couldn't go out now to the job market and find something I'd be particularly good at. So I wouldn't earn a very high wage that way anyway. And also, the jobs wouldn't bring me any pleasure. For example, a few years ago I was living with my sister and she was a carer for the elderly. Highly respect her for that job, but it's a hard, grueling, physical, emotional job to have, and she would leave the house for 8 hours off on her shift, and in those 8 hours I would sit in my slippers and crochet something in front of the TV on my sofa. And admittedly, when she got home from work exhausted and drained, I would have to continue crocheting into the evening. So technically I worked more hours than her, but I had such a nicer day, and I can keep crocheting well into the night. I love doing it. So when you're thinking about charging per hour and you think of it in that way, in those 8 hours when she was earning a minimum wage to having to do all these difficult, grueling things, I just sat there, enjoyed a movie, made something pretty. And yes, I worked more hours than her, but how much easier was my life? And monthly, we made a very similar wage. So when I look at that example, and even look at any of my friends who do, some of them have some really good jobs, some really high paid jobs, honestly, I wouldn't swap my life for any of theirs. I personally have watched so many amazing films and shows and listened to podcasts and just done things I really enjoy while I'm crocheting that I actually feel guilty for calling it work. So when you look at pricing with all of these factors in mind, it's not so much about what your item is worth or what your time is worth. It's about the lifestyle it gives you, the pleasure it gives you, and the freedom. You can put your crochet down, get up and go to the shops at any time of the day. You can't walk out halfway through a shift or leave the office whenever you want. So these freedoms to me are far more valuable than the physical money that it brings in. Let's be honest, we're not going to find someone who's going, well, we're unlikely to find someone who's going to pay hundreds or thousands for a crochet piece, even if you've worked really, really hard on it. So we just need to find a balance between finding a reasonable price for your customers and a sustainable income for yourself. Let me use one of my beanies as an example. This one takes me about 3 hours to make. So if I charge, I'm still, like I said, quite a slow crocheter, so even a small item like this takes me about 3 hours to make. If I charge per hour, forgetting materials and all the other costs, this beanie is starting at £60 if I'm thinking for £20 an hour. £60 for a beanie in my world is already quite a lot. Then once I add the materials, the yarn, the pom-pom, the tags and all the other things involved in selling it, photographing, taking the time to do that, advertising, it's going to be around £80 or £100 for this beanie. It's just not reasonable to expect someone to pay £80 for a beanie, £100 for a beanie, when, as lovely as it is, you can easily pop to the shops and just buy yourself a beanie for £10. And I'm not comparing my work to a mass-made item, but I am comparing the pockets of my customers to these items, if that makes sense. Of course, I have personally spent time and love making this, and the £10 hat might just be churned out in a factory, but I have to bear in mind that in this current climate, someone wants to be warm, they're going to spend less on something that keeps them warm, even though it hasn't been handmade. So we need to think more reasonably about what we will be happy with for an item like this. I'm not interested in getting £80 to £100 for this. I sell these for £25, and I shall explain to you why. So using this example of my hat, let's say you can make 5 hats in a day. In a week, you manage to sell all 5 of those hats, and you're charging £25 per hat. Now let's take off £25 of that for materials, so you're making £100 profit on that. If someone was to say to you, you can crochet for the whole day and I will give you £100, would you be happy with that? I am. I really am. Yes, please. Thank you very much. So once you charge by the hour, you're actually looking for hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and you're going to find it a struggle to buy people to buy them for that. But if you think of it in those terms, it's not per item, not per stitch, not per hour. It's just a sum of money for doing something you love. And this formula has worked so well for me that I have been able to spend 20 plus, more than 20 years doing what I love. So thinking with this bigger picture, what are the items you can make? Can you make smaller items that are quicker to make? It's better if you want to run a business to have more items, filling up a shop, more choice, more variety than one super fancy, expensive blanket, for example. So are you able to make smaller items? Are you able to churn out a few things a little quicker to build up your stock and attract customers and bring attention to your business? Is that something you could do? Is that something you would enjoy? These are all other factors that people forget to mention. I think they think, you can make a blanket and sell it for £5,000. That would be the dream for most, of course, to make £5,000 on something. But the reality is that is a very, very luxury market. If you can make it in the luxury market, then absolutely do so, go for it. But it's not every Tom, Dick and Harry can just jump on into the luxury market and start selling to these incredibly wealthy people. We're mostly selling to people who just enjoy something that's been handmade and appreciate the work that's gone into it and don't want to buy these factory churned out things. So we need to make things that they can enjoy without breaking their bank, but by also keeping you afloat and keeping you able to survive off of what you earn. Productivity is something else that's really important to bear in mind here. You need to think strategically. For example, in a week, can you make 5 beanies, 6 scarves, several pairs of gloves, a bag and a shawl? Do all of those items, as an example, cover a weekly wage amount that you have made? And if you can you make even more than that if you add an extra hour or two work? So you can cover a weekend off and things like that. These are factors to all think about when starting a business. It is absolutely doable, particularly if you love doing it, because you will want to crochet from the minute you wake up to the time you go to bed. And I'm sure you can make a lot of things in that time. The only thing about this angle is that it does turn your hobby into a business. You do have to churn out work. You do have to keep going with it, which for some people can absolutely take the pleasure away from it. And it just doesn't suit them to turn their hobby into a business. And that's absolutely fine. We're all different. But for me, I'd rather struggle a little bit with my hobby becoming a business than trying to work for someone else, doing something I don't enjoy so I can have the opportunity to do a little bit of crochet in the evening. So each of us is different. You have to see what's best for you. But if you think this is something you can do, it can be really profitable. There are some other ways we can make profit from crochet too, and these can take your sales and your income from a basic level that will be a plateau because there's only so many items you can make, to whatever you desire to make. The harder you work, the better it can become. So let's get into those now. So when starting a crochet business, most people start by selling their crochet physical items that they have created. Excellent. What else can we do? You could set up a YouTube channel. YouTube can be really profitable if you get a good following. You can do tutorials. I've been doing tutorials. You can talk like I am now about subjects that interest you within the crochet niche. You can talk about the latest trends and all these things. So if you feel confident to set up a YouTube channel, that can be a lovely second income within your crochet niche. Last year, I started writing crochet patterns. Crochet patterns have proved to be a wonderful choice for me. I've always designed my own things. I've always free-handed everything. I've never used patterns before. So I decided to start writing down my patterns, and I haven't looked back since. I absolutely love it. They have proved to be popular, and it's an excellent income. The thing about something like Crochet Patterns is they are a digital product, so it sort of becomes like a passive income almost. You have to keep creating them, but once you've created one, that one can sell 500 times. So that week you spent working on that one crochet pattern can actually continue to bring money in while you're creating other things. So Crochet Patterns is definitely one I would recommend. Other ways of making money from crochet: could you write a crochet book? That would be a dream for me. I would love to do that one day, but maybe that's something you could do. You have a particular style you like, and you could make an entire book about it and sell your book. Something else you could do is set up a yarn or crochet hook shop, so you can actually sell the products that people require to make their own crochet items. So there's lots of avenues you can go down to make money with crochet, with your passion. So don't be stuck on, oh, I can't charge enough for this one item that I've made, I won't bother. There are so many avenues and opportunities to use your pattern to create a business and to do what it is you love. So that's my take on the selling your crochet work pricing situation. I sadly don't think you're going to be able to charge £5,000 for a crochet blanket, but I think with some reasonable thinking and a little bit of questioning, you can make a really lovely living and enjoy the work that you do whilst covering everything you need, and customers loving your work and being able to appreciate it. So I do hope this was helpful. Please leave a comment below if you found it helpful, or if you have any different ideas. I'd love to hear what you think. And yeah, give me a follow, subscribe, press the bell, all those things. Any links that you might find interesting, I will put down below for you to have a look at. So go ahead and look at those. And thanks for watching. I'll see you again real soon.